All right. I am going to get started. So, welcome. My name is Sarah Whitmire, and I'm the Director of Education for Lake Conestee Nature Preserve. And I am not an iNaturalist expert. I'm just going to come out with that at the head of this. I am learning. I have learned a bunch in the past month since I've started really using this and trying to get this project off the ground. And I'm excited to show you what we've gotten started, and I'm excited to get more people involved in iNaturalist. You start things like this, and I get a little cheery and like excited when I see the little how many people have joined the project. It like ticks up, and I'm like, yes, okay, we're getting some participation. So um, hopefully, hopefully, if you haven't used iNaturalist before, that this is something that you deep dive into and you have fun. If you're a nature nerd like myself and the other educators on my staff, you can easily get sucked into the iNaturalist world for hours. And I'm going to show you a lot of the different facets of that today. So first up is a little bit more about what iNaturalist is. There we go. Uh-oh, no, too many. Go back. Stop. Okay, there we go. So iNaturalist is a citizen science platform, and it's both an app on your phone and a website, and you can choose to use either or. And so that's kind of the beauty of this. For those of you who are into photography and are able to get really close-up shots of certain animals and things, you're going to be able to do that by using the website function versus just having your phone camera available to you. So you record an observation with a picture or even a sound file. You can record sound as an observation and upload it. And then that gets shared out into the iNaturalist community. And iNaturalist has some experts that they've tagged or identified as identifiers, but you yourself can also identify or actually confirm is a better way, confirm other people's observations and their identifications. And they've included a chat function so that you can communicate with each other and ask questions. So if you disagree with somebody's identification, you can communicate with them and sort of get a better idea of what they're thinking, all right, and have discussions around that. So it's a great community, and I've already had multiple discussions through this forum, and everybody's been really nice and helpful. So I think it's a great thing to get involved with or started with. So I'm going to go through high level what you do to make an observation. So it's all based around these photographs that you take. And this is what it will look like on your phone. So you will take a picture, and your phone will automatically time and date stamp it and geotag it. And that sends it out into the iNaturalist, they call it their artificial intelligence. And they will suggest to you about 10 different species that yours could be. And they're generating those suggestions based off of where you're located and what else has been identified that's similar in the area. And that is then collected, and you get these observations that are spread out all over the place. And as more people agree with your identification, this becomes what they would call research grade data that scientists, biologists, researchers can actually use to track the occurrence of different species or trends that might be occurring, depending on what their research is. All right, so the key to making a good observation is taking a clear photo. you want to get as close as possible to whatever organism it is that you want to observe. For plants, that's pretty easy. For animals, obviously, that gets a little trickier, right? So get as close as possible, and you want to take multiple angles. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our project later, but for our project, we really want you to have at least 2 different pictures for every observation. So you can see your initial picture that you take and you hit submit. Then it puts up these other boxes here with the plus sign in the middle. So you can hit that and it will let you add another photo. You'll notice at the bottom there's a default picture. That default is what they're going to use to generate their suggestions. So I don't suggest that you have like the profile of a tree standing way far back to use as your default image, because the system will have a hard time IDing that. So once you see what they have suggested for you, you can select one of these options. Now, on the right side, you'll see the little information icon, the little eye. And if you click on that, it will bring up information about that species. So you're able to kind of gather more information before you decide which species you think it is. All right, so once you select the species, and if you don't know what it is, like if you're really looking at that thing and you're like, I just know it's a plant, you can type that in. They suggest that if you don't know, at least type in plant, mushroom, mammal, something like that to help people in the community see it, and you know, through different experts they will able to better identify that. If you leave it as unknown, it can get lost. So hopefully you'll be able to at least say plant, fungus, something like that, without leaving it truly unknown. All right, and then once you hit share, it kind of goes out into the community and other people can see that observation, and you want 2 other people to agree with your identification. Once 2 other people agree with it, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, then it's research grade. So you have to have a picture or a sound file, and you have to have it geotagged. It has to have a location, and you have to have 2 other people within the community agree with your identification before it's considered research grade. All right, so what I want to do now, I'm going to stop my share here, okay, is make you practice. So did you find something to take a picture of? Do you have something you can take a picture of? Yeah, okay. So, and again, for people who aren't familiar with how to ID things, okay, this is sort of the basics. This is from a tree, okay. I had to bring it inside because I couldn't do the computer outside. So I took a good chunk of the branch here. Obviously on plants, there's leaves, there could be flowers, fruits. You want to at least get a close-up picture of the leaves, as close as you can with the shape. And even taking like a shot that would show it like this, so I can see the stems that the leaves are attached to, right? This is all helpful information in trying to identify any plant, really, is seeing where the leaf comes off of the stem and seeing the shape of the leaf. So for a tree, this would be my default picture, okay? This, as close as I could get view of my plant. So go ahead and if you're following along, take a snapshot. I'm going to do it with mine here. So in iNaturalist, at the bottom in the middle, it says observe. Oops, I got somebody got let in. Sorry, Tim. I don't know how long you've been there. Let's let him get connected there. There we go. Sorry, Tim. I don't know how long you were waiting. I just noticed. All right, so at the bottom of your phone screen, it says observe. I know that's not great view here, but you click observe, it brings up your camera, You get that nice angled shot that includes leaf shape and stems. If it's an animal, I mean, seriously, if it's an animal, it's moving, the best still shot you can get, go with that, okay? The animals are definitely more difficult. Then you hit next. And once you hit next, it's going to come up with that screen with where you could add more pictures at the top. And again, for our project, we'd like for you to add another picture. So you take, for a tree especially, take a picture of the bark. If you can see nuts or fruits growing on it, get a picture of those. For an animal, a different angle, so the whole body versus just the head, or if you can get the back of the animal and the front of the animal. Any different angle you can get is super helpful in identifying any organism. All right, then under where you have the picture boxes, it says, what did you see? And then under that, you have all of your data. So it's time and date stamped, your picture. The location has been recorded. Under that, you're going to see geo-privacy options. And this is how, if you're uncomfortable sharing your location, if you're doing a lot of observing in your backyard, you can actually make it private so that nobody can see it. Or you can choose obscured. And that way the researchers and scientists can still see that location, but just general people in the community can't. And then open is obviously you're sharing it openly with everybody. Then there's an option to choose whether that's a captive or cultivated plant or animal. And then below that is projects. If you are at the preserve with the intentions of participating in the project, as long as you're within our actual boundaries, you don't need to select the project, okay? It will automatically load it to our project because of the geotagging, because of your position. Okay. All right, so you can change any of those settings if you desire. And then you want to click on the what did you see to bring up the suggestions. And like I said, it generates usually around 10 different species that you can compare to what you took a picture of. And you'll even notice that iNaturalist will tell you how confident they are, okay? So my tree is a tulip poplar, very common tree that's been recorded a lot. And so at the top, right before it starts listing the options, it says, we're pretty sure this is the genus. And then it gives me tulip trees. It might say we're not confident and things like that based on how rare or if there hasn't been that many observations. But it will usually always suggest at least a genus. So you can scroll through those options. Like I said, on the right side, you see the little eye in the circle, the information icon. You can tap on that to get more information about the species, more pictures, to help you feel more comfortable with your identification. So once you select those, you pick which one you like or which one you think is the closest. I know this, you can't see this, but you're looking at your phone, so hopefully you can see it on your phone. Then at the bottom, there's share. So once you hit share, that completes that observation and adds it to your list of observations. And again, if you're in the preserve or the picture has been geotagged at the preserve, once you hit send, it will add it to our project as well. Are there any questions about that part? Feel free to unmute yourself if you have something, because we don't have that many people. Yeah, go Valerie, I see you. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is the geotag, the location, you said if it was within LC, NP, that it would automatically go there. But
Mhm.
what if I'm not taking my picture with my phone? What if I've already taken it with my camera earlier and I'm trying to use the app, going back to a photo I had previously taken, and then it pops up location. And then I've got this huge map of the world where I have to zero in on the nature preserve.
Right.
And it's really difficult to get in and find the exact spot along the trail where I saw this plant.
Hmm. Yes.
So
So
that's a problem that I've observed.
Hey,
yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
I don't know if this is answering your question, but it does give you the option to go to your photos or camera row to to
Yeah, that's where I
go
got my
through that.
photo. Yeah,
Oh,
that's where
okay.
I got.
Oh, okay.
But then
So
I have to go back and add a location. And the
okay.
only option for the location is looking at this huge map and then zooming it in from the world view to the nature preserve. And it's really difficult.
Yeah. So I find it easier to do that on the website. Now, if it's a photo that you
Okay.
have on your camera, that's another
Yeah.
step. You've got to get it onto the website.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
the other way that you can make that easier when you're taking the pictures is going into your GPS function on your phone, or if you even have a separate
Okay.
GPS device, and actually
Yeah.
writing out the coordinates.
Okay. I'll
Um,
do that. I'll use
or
my computer instead of my phone trying to do that.
yeah, it's easier to see, and it's pretty quick, especially if you know where the preserve
Okay.
is, getting it zoomed in there.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions or comments on that? Oops, there's something in the chat. Hold on. Okay, that was Valerie. Cool. Um, all right. So let's go to the website and I'll show you some of what I mean and show you different parts of the website. Especially if you're taking pictures with a camera, the website is going to be your friend. Okay. So let me share my screen again and get over there. Okay. All right, so here is the iNaturalist webpage, iNaturalist.org, and I'll get logged in. All right. So once you're here, this is kind of your homepage for iNaturalist. And I want to point out a few things before we go in, how you add an observation here. Across the top, you've got different options to explore, and this is where that map of the world will pop up. I'm set to this place, Lake Conestee Nature Preserve, so it automatically just takes me and shows me my place. But if you close out on that, you can see, oh, but my internet's going to be slow. And it's pretty awesome to look at all those data points and to see how many observations have been made in iNaturalist, how many species have been identified. And you can zoom to any part of the world and look at the species that are being tracked there and that are being identified. So kind of a fun thing to play with if you're interested. Then you have your observations. So as you collect observations, they will be on this screen. And these are all the observations that you've made personally, okay? And you can click on these different tabs above so that you can see the species listed out, and you can even filter them by category. So if you only want to see what birds you've taken pictures of or reptiles, etc. And then there's several other filters that you might have fun playing with and searching through. Where'd it go? The community. So this is the iNaturalist community. You can look at other people that are making observations. You can search through projects. You can join any project you're interested in, and there's a bunch for South Carolina. Or you can follow them. There's some on the mushrooms of South Carolina, moths. So if you have a particular interest, those are a great place to go to actually look and learn more about those species. All right. If you go to the identify button, this will allow you to filter through and help identify. So this is when you're kind of acting as an expert. If you feel like you're really comfortable with dragonflies and you want to go and help people get their dragonfly observations to research grade, you can type that information in here and it will bring up all the dragonfly observations that need to be identified. And so when you decide you want to identify an organism, you can click on it if you're like, oh yeah, I really know this one. And then this is where the community gets kind of neat, I think. So you can add an ID. So if you don't agree that this is a common whitetail, you can add an ID and type in your suggestion. So you type in the species there and hit save. Or you can comment and ask them questions. So you can actually say, well, I don't agree that's a common whitetail because of XYZ marking on the back. I have no idea what this is, so I'm just flying there. And then you can send that to them and you can actually have a conversation about why they decided to ID it that way. Great way to learn. And then under more, this is something else I wanted to point out, mainly because of the video tutorials. So we get done here today. If you have more questions or you want to see more, iNaturalist website has a ton of videos on different ways to make observations and different aspects of their software. All right, so if you want to make an observation on the computer, which is mainly for people who use their camera to take pictures, this is where you're going to go. You're going to go to the upload button. And then you're going to choose files from your computer. Okay, so you have to get them loaded to your computer. And I gotta go to pictures, and I have a special folder for today. Where'd it go? Here we go. And these are all pictures taken by Anthony Martin, so I'm not going to take credit for this wonderful photography, okay? And if anybody else knows Anthony, you all need to tell him he needs to hurry up and get on this project so he can upload all of his stuff for us, because he's logged a bunch in the park. All right, so it suggests that you don't try to upload more than 50 picture files at a time. So if you go out in the preserve one day and you take a bunch of pictures and you have several that you want to upload, you can do several at a time, but it says no more than 50. And so I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the print. And it's going to generate these different files. If it is 2 pictures of the same species like these are, so that you're getting those 2 different angles that we've asked for, you can actually drag and drop them together so that it combines them into one observation. Okay. Then you can enter the details within the box or over here on the left. You can if everything was taken at the same place, you can control select, okay, to highlight all the boxes. And then like if I knew these were all taken last Thursday, and oh, this might take a minute to load up. And then within the preserve, I can type it in the left side and it will automatically fill in that same information for all of the observations that you've uploaded. Okay. And I'm just going to do this real quick. I'll go into more details about that in a second. You have a question, Valerie? Yeah.
Okay, my question is, for your purposes, do you care where in the preserve we located the butterfly or whatever? Do you want us to be very specific, or is just the general nature preserve good enough like you just did?
For most of yours, I would prefer you get as close as you can. And so,
okay.
Yeah, we want to be able to use this to manage different parts of the preserve. So having a more specific location is better. But see down here, if you've actually logged that geotag, you can type in the latitude and longitude down here, and it will zoom it in right for you.
Right.
I have no idea where Anthony took these pictures, so that's why I'm just guessing. Actually, I do need to.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, and I'm just seeing this message from Melita. Does the data track climate, region, or range migrations? Okay. They don't do mineral specimens for iNaturalist. It's just living things. And I don't know. I think they're using these observations to help contribute to those migration data points. But you're not, there's no place, at least that I haven't found yet, that you're actually entering observations for climate within your region, if that's what you mean. I think it's more up to scientists and researchers that might be looking at what iNaturalist has in it and correlating that to climate data to make any hypotheses about what could be happening. Hopefully that answered your question, Melita. Sorry I didn't see that sooner. Okay, and then
I'll just pipe up and say there are apps. Sorry, I was just going to say there are apps for mineral specimen identification. I've just never tried them, so I couldn't recommend one over another.
Yeah, but it's not in iNaturalist. It's different. Yeah. Okay. And you can drag and drop this little red dot to get your location in. You can zoom in really close. You can actually see trails within the preserve. And I will tell you something that I've had issues with. When I enter an observation on my phone, my geotag bubble is very big. I'm going to see if I can fix it. But when I go in to look, if any part of this bubble is not within the preserve boundaries, it will not log it within the preserve itself. So you can come onto the website and actually shrink this down to pinpoint that location better and to ensure that it is within the preserve boundaries. All right, so once you've set the location, you can update it. And again, like I said, by tagging both of these. Are y'all still hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, I got a notice that my internet was lagging, so I apologize if I start to break up. So filling it in on the left fills it in for everything. Then if you want to go into just this one to figure out the species, again, it will load those suggestions just like it did on the phone app. But maybe not today from my computer. Yep. Oh, there we go. Okay. So again, we have a genus suggestion and then species suggestions. Okay. And this is an eastern tiger swallowtail. So I am going to select that. And this is the state insect, right? I think I've learned that recently. The mantid.
Carolina mantid is the state insect. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's taking forever. Come on. Come on, come on.
Sarah, I've got a question.
Yeah, go Tim. Did we lose you?
Sarah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I've got a question. When it goes to projects and I press nearby projects, and it gives me a bunch of nearby projects, I don't see Lake Conestee Nature Preserve listed as a nearby project to press on my phone. It lists a bunch of others in the science. I was just wondering about that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Are you doing that like within the preserve, you're not seeing it, or just right now?
When it says it gives you a choice of joined or featured or nearby. When I go to nearby projects, I don't see, Lake Conestee Nature Preserve as a nearby project. But if we wanted, and I know I came in late, but if we want to join Lake Conestee Nature Preserve, I was just looking for it on nearby.
Okay, I'll show you all that next. Okay.
Can I pipe up and say how I found it, Sarah?
Sure.
Okay, sorry, the lag is making it hard to pipe up. Tim, what I did was if you go into projects in the app
Okay. Yeah.
and you just pull down with your thumb, a search bar pops up at the top, and
Yes.
then you can type in biodiversity of Lake Conestee Nature Preserve.
Oh, I might have. Oh, maybe wasn't looking for it for the biodiversity first. Oh, okay.
That's the way I got to it, because there are so many choices. It takes a while to find it by name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I apologize that when I named it, I didn't realize searching for it with that very long name was going to be an issue. But once you're in, you don't have to find it again. So that once you join it, it will always pop up, which is handy. All right, so I'm going to submit these two that we just did on the computer. And
I'm joined now. Thank you.
yay. Okay, let's go back to this. That's probably going to take a minute. All right. So just to kind of reiterate, we've set a requirement within the project that your observation needs to be research grade or close to it, and you can sort of see the progress of your observations either in the app or on the website. So when you pull up an observation, it will show you your suggestion, and then it will show you if people have agreed with you or not below that. And this little bar over here kind of shows your progress. So again, you have to have 3 people agree on the same identification. So that might be yourself plus 2 other people, or if somebody suggests a different ID, then you still have to get 2 other people after that. And then it shows you this little progress report over here. Once you've checked off all these boxes, it's considered research grade. And then it is usable as this global database that researchers and scientists all over the world can use for any type of project they might be involved in. And there are over 800,000 iNaturalist members. And so it's a huge community with a lot of different expertise. And I think that's, it's great to have the checks and balances to make sure that observations that are being submitted are vetted and as accurate as possible. So even though it's citizen science, there's still a lot of scientists and experts involved to help back that up. So it's great. All right, let's see. Next is our project here. So again, it is called Biodiversity, a Lake Conestee Nature Preserve. And yeah, you got to type all that out when you're searching for it. And with the pandemic and things changing, we've had some more time to think of alternative projects for us to get involved in. And I feel like this is something that's kind of been on the list for a while. And we're excited to start increasing what we have on our species list. We have in-house lists that we've kept, and they are, not anywhere near completion. Maybe with the exception of birds and frogs, because we have other groups that are monitoring those species on a regular basis. So we need a lot of help, and we foresee this as being a way we can track trends, phenology. I don't want you to think that, oh, well, somebody's already taken a picture of a tulip poplar, I don't want to take that picture. Do it. Add to it. Different times of year, recording where things are and what they look like during that time of year can be useful information. So just because it's something common like a cardinal or whatever, don't feel like you shouldn't add it. We want any observation that you're interested in adding, we want it to be included in the project. And this will help us improve our species list, potentially identify rare species. It will help us provide field guides and update field guides that we can eventually distribute to the public. And it's a great way to get the community involved. If in the future, we hope to hold some mini bio blitzes through this iNaturalist. And so people that have really gotten involved in the project, we want to be able to invite y'all to do some off-trail identifications in areas that are restricted in the preserve and that we feel have some hidden gems potentially. And so that's kind of incentives to you guys to stick with it and get involved to the best of your ability, so that we can invite y'all out and do some of this, the path less traveled within the preserve. Dave Hargett, our executive director, always likes to tout that there's only like 10% of our, that might not be the right number. If you remember, Aaron, shout out, but 10% of the preserve that's open access and everybody can reach. And then there's a huge majority of it that we leave restricted. And that's for, multitude of reasons, but we still want to know what's there. So, and we need help. There's not enough of us to log all of that. All right, so that's still right. All right. Let's get back out to my dashboard. It's okay if those don't get added. All right. Yeah, so under community and projects, you can search for Biodiversity of Lake Conestee Nature Preserve. And it'll select it. And again, if you're interested in getting involved in more projects, you can go back and search South Carolina or dragonflies or whatever it is and join a project that you're interested in and get to see their progress too. Now, this project, he's not on today, but Philip Harpootlian, unbeknownst to us, sort of, but he mapped out the place of Lake Conestee Nature Preserve so that you can actually search it and find it within iNaturalist. And he is already the king of our project. He's identified, I think, over 300 species within the preserve, and before we even got a hold of this. So it was sort of his baby before it came our baby. But now we've got it more organized and using our platform now that we have more time to invest in these things. So when you get into the project, you can see all the progress we've made. And so around 1,200 observations, 606 species. There's 432 people that have helped identify things and 93 people that are making observations within the preserve. Now, the project itself, we are at 12 people that have joined, okay? And again, you don't have to join it when you're in the preserve. Your observations are going to this, but for the community aspect of it, we would love for you all to join it. It will help us be able to send messages out to everybody and see the progress that you're making within this web page here. So you can see the different people and what they've contributed, and most observed species, which I think is kind of interesting as well. So lots of things to look at and play around with. The map of Lake Conestee Nature Preserve, we think, is fairly accurate. We believe we're missing a small chunk on the north end, so this map may need to be updated. If y'all are having any problems getting things located within the preserve, let me know, and we'll try to figure out how to update this map. All right. I think I have shared everything I needed to share. Does anybody have any questions? No?
Thanks.
Cool.
We've got a project here at Roper Mountain, but I haven't I haven't used it. I haven't been using it much, or anybody else, but we've got one set up at Roper Mountain.
Cool. Yeah, it's fun, and once you get it started, I think it's really easy, pretty user friendly. So, all righty. Well, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm going to send out the recording, so if there's anything you need to listen back to, you can. And like I said, check out the video tutorials on the website. There's a ton of information that will help you get to know iNaturalist. I gave you a pretty shallow look at it today. There's a lot you can do and search for. So the more you spend time with it, the more you'll discover. All right, y'all, everybody have a good day, okay?
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah.
No problem.